We like to imagine the internet as an invisible cloud floating above us, but the reality is entirely physical. The websites you visit and messages you send are actually traveling as pulses of light through physical tubes resting on the deep ocean floor. This map shows the true scale of that physical network. 99% of all global data moves through these underwater fiber-optic cables. We rely on this very tangible infrastructure for everything from a simple session of multiplayer gaming to the execution of billions of dollars in high-frequency algorithmic trading. This map of the Persian Gulf highlights a specific geographical bottleneck, the Strait of Hormuz. Exactly 7 major underwater internet cables are funneled through this narrow strip of water, acting as primary digital arteries connecting Europe to the Middle East and Asia. Every single day, $10 trillion in global financial transactions pass through these specific lines. Buyers, merchants, and sovereign wealth funds all depend on a continuous flow of data through this exact coordinate. The modern digital economy relies entirely on an underwater trench. You cannot defend these cables with fighter jets, and anti-air defense systems are useless at the bottom of the sea. For 72 days, regional conflicts have been escalating, with Israel publicly threatening to dismantle Iranian energy infrastructure and oil refineries. At the same time, the United States is signaling a tactical retreat. Washington's leadership has made it clear they do not want to participate in a prolonged military engagement in the region. Facing less pressure from American forces, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps is feeling aggressively confident. They are actively seeking new ways to gain geopolitical leverage. Because conventional military battles have resulted in the loss of their own assets, including fighter jets, Iran is pivoting. By targeting vital civilian infrastructure instead of military bases, they can force the international community into a corner without ever firing a missile. According to their own state media, the IRGC isn't planning to immediately destroy the infrastructure in the Strait of Hormuz. Instead, they plan to deploy highly trained marine divers into the deep waters to physically surround those 7 internet cables. The strategy is pure extortion. Iran intends to demand a massive financial toll from surrounding countries in exchange for the safe passage of data. If the international community refuses to pay, the IRGC will sever the connections. Now, you might be wondering, what about Elon Musk's Starlink? Couldn't we bypass the ocean entirely and use satellite internet to keep the region online? The short answer is no. Equipping hardware costs thousands up front. Worse, the severe latency delay makes complex financial transactions impossible. There is simply not enough satellite infrastructure in orbit to support the densely populated regions of India, the Gulf, and Asia. Despite billionaire innovations in space, the fundamental laws of physics remain unchanged. High-bandwidth, functioning modern economies require physical fiber optics. If even a single cable snaps, the technical consequences are immediate. You would feel it on your phone instantly. Digital gridlock would spread across continents, dropping internet speeds to a crawl and causing massive data bottlenecks. The economic disaster follows seconds later. Banking portals freeze. A merchant in India can no longer process payments from a buyer in Europe. Major international commerce hubs like Dubai effectively go digitally dark. That localized digital blackout translates into immediate global panic. Stock markets rely on split-second data from the entire world. An outage in the strait would crash global exchanges so fast that investors wouldn't even have time to pull out their capital. 16 years ago, American geopolitical analysts like Scott Horton predicted exactly this. They warned that any intense conflict with Iran would inevitably result in the choking of the Strait of Hormuz. Back then, analysts were mostly terrified of a freeze in global oil shipments. Today, the threat has evolved. Choking off the world's oil is terrible for the economy, but instantly choking off its data is a total blackout. If a nation can hold the ocean floor hostage, no digital asset is safe. Until the international community unites to proactively deter attacks on these shared undersea lines, a massive chunk of the global economy remains entirely at the